Luke, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Great. Right. We're good now.
All right, so,
Yeah. Often.
It happens a lot.
Yeah. Always the afterthought.
Yeah.
What do you think?
yeah, I'm saying.
Is that the case? Actually, it used to be a big Maris thing. They're like, oh, we might change what we do. It's a game time decision. So you hear that all the time.
Before we start, just to make sure my ballot is correct, Masterman is neg speaking first.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, it's
Both sides. Yeah. I got it. Did everybody get the doc? Everybody good to go?
Let me.
No, we are not all good to go.
Yep, no problem.
I'm good.
All right, I'm good when you all are.
Okay. And then it's JC speaking first for the neg. Okay. In that case, time starts. We negate contention. One is the tech crash. There's no recession. Now is Donaldson from January 23 funds at higher profit margins and supply chain stabilization have helped to tamper recession fears. Economists are now increasingly confident the United States will avoid downturn in 2024. Repealing Section 230 opens the floodgate to excessive lawsuits against tech companies. This causes stock market chaos as banks 20 fines. Without Section 230, most of the internet would have to shut down for fear of being sued into oblivion. Social media platforms would be facing hundreds of lawsuits per week, risking bankruptcy. Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, and others would instantly face massive liability, necessitating drastic response. It would cause a stock market crash. The sudden legal liability foisted on the thousands of publicly traded companies would create chaos. History proves even just talking about repealing Section 230 during the Trump era caused investment to fall as Navalier 20 finds that stock prices declined as Trump declared war on Section 230 because the tech sector is integrated into the broader economy. An economic shock would have ripple effects as FR19 finds, in addition to being the most profitable industry on the planet, Silicon Valley giants become systemically crucial within the marketplace, holding assets that if sold or downgraded could topple the market themselves. FR furthers in a downturn, there would be a large drop in credit to companies, a lot like the situation in 2008. In that scenario, Block 21 concludes that a global financial crash of unprecedented scale is highly probable. Social dissatisfaction may morph an anarchy-induced geopolitical realignments, cascading of risk-induced nuclear confrontation. Contention 2 is around the world. Subpoint A is modeling global democracy is on the recovery. Length at 23 writes that global decline in democracy is bottoming out. Countries that took advantage in COVID-19 to consolidate power can no longer do so. However, foreign nations risk backsliding. Use repeal as justification to increase censorship. Howard Scene 21 opposed Section 230 internet could set a precedent for countries in Asia and Latin America to introduce new policies to place severe restrictions on digital speech. Every other country in the world is going to fall on this further on the censorship scale. Indeed, the lesson or 20 finds that governments in France, India, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and elsewhere have attempted to saddle social media companies with increased obligation, but courts have avoided requiring sweeping proactive content moderation. Amending Section 230 would compel peers to develop new moderation tools that would be utilized globally. Content filtering would indicate to countries autocratic regimes would be emboldened. Free internet is key to the health of democracy, as Green 23 finds internet access is an essential element of vibrant, healthy democracy. Voters can make informed choices without objective, trustworthy information. Journalists can perform their traditional watchdog role. Citizens can express requests or grievances in a timely way. Internet freedom is a matter of life or death. Authoritarianism is impact filter. Diamond 19 finds the main threats to security all stem from authoritarianism. Autocrats use corruption, coercion to gobble up resources and territory, supporting international terrorism, proliferating weapons of mass destruction, threatening neighbors. Subpoint B is credibility. We're on top right now as Brand 22 finds the United States has bounced back on the top of the global power, soft power. USA has seen the fastest year-on-year improvement. Repeal is impossible. Dan 20 finds that big tech is getting Section 230 provisions into the USMCA. If the US tries to alter Section 230, Facebook and Google could sue, maintaining that the change was illegitimate and violating the USMCA. This case could go to the WTO, and the United States could lose the case. Soft power plummets as Gideon 20 finds that repealing Section 230 could open the United States in violation of trade deals. The consequences would be weakening the country's faith that the U.S. honors international agreements, would pose a problem to coordinate the country. This would lead to an erosion of trust. Devastatingly, Seymour 21 finds that failure to uphold promises and issue allies threatens American legitimacy, met with increasing disease, terror, nuclear war, economic struggles, and climate change. Contention 3 is ChatGPT. The U.S. is winning in the AI race, but China is catching up. As Share 22 finds the United States is leading in AI, but China is rapidly catching up. China has a growing community of high-quality AI experts, in the United States wants to win. They need to continue. That's because of Section 230. NC 19 finds that Section 230 will contribute 4 million jobs and $440 billion in growth to the U.S. enables world-leading, innovative, and competitive of tech industry after Section 230 was put into law. Investment triple, creating $1 trillion in American job creation, and also ignites American innovation and American economic prosperity. Specifically, 230 applies to AI. There to December 6 finds that Section 230 applies to AI. Courts have regularly applied Section 230 provisions to outputs generated by algorithms. Affirming would kill American AI by making companies responsible for AI's function. That makes it impossible to compete with China. Thier finds that the repeal of Section 230 protects from generative AI would take the United States backwards by 30 years and undermine innovation. Regulatory burdens would proliferate and AI would wither. This would also have deleterious effects on output. American innovation has been critical. Leaders eliminating Section 230 threatens to stall the engine of success at a time where China and other nations are looking to catch up, and the United States would hobble American innovators as they gear up to take on rivals. That's devastating. McCam 23 because of leadership in AI offers disadvantages in both global and economic competitiveness and military prowess. The winner of the AI race will secure global dominance. American hegemony might not be perfect, but the alternative is worse. Kim 19 finds that China's ascendance to an alternative hegemonic power predicts a hegemonic war between the United States and China during a transition period. It is an inevitable war between the two. History teaches us the declining hegemon sees war as a better option. Extinction, Star 15, nuclear war, create environment, too cold, director food, humans vanish forever. Just cut Shorman. It's the only evidence I didn't read.
Okay. Doctrine.
Yeah.
Is there a procedure?
Yeah, I got it. Josh, you know what?
Statutory, all good to go. I'm good.
I just.
Modernize German resolution. Intentional cartels. Cartels are expanding and diversifying. E-commerce partners find the need for increasingly powerful, diverse cartels and make it into a much wider array of groups. Number of density increase. 230 allows them to thrive. Logan 22 finds that 230 shields community companies from liability for cartels creating these tools and they're distributing them. The social media drug trade is the lifeblood of the large cartels. For 23 finds that fentanyl has spawned a major organization of criminal organization partly because of their adoption of social media. They govern 20% of Mexican territory. Independently, Memphis 23 finds that social media is a significant component of worker-driven appeal for young men. Affirming solves. APO 25, the social media platforms enjoy a broad immunity for hosts to user-generated content, even when they know that the content facilitates violent and illegal activity. The internet is safe for criminals and violent gangs. Cutting recruitment kills cartels. Creato and Corral 23 finds that reducing recruitment could substantially curtail violence and lower cartel size. Cartel expansion causes rampant proliferation. Robert and Haddock finds that strengthening Mexican insurgency would likely affect America's role in the rest of the world. The adversaries elsewhere in the world would adjust to distract the looking America, potentially disrupt Ron's race. As the result, the lack of nuclear. Planet 16 thought that a new nuclear arms race in a multipolar world poses a very high enough risk of increased instability. Nuclear war, accidental firing, a rogue officer with Luke News risk strike. The extinction. Star 15 finds a nuclear war would create humans would vanish forever. Another two is genocide. Social media fans the flames of targeted violence. H117 finds that Sri Lanka, Burma, India, and Ethiopia raise alarms surrounding social media influence on violence, discrimination, and hate speech. Target people enabling coordinated attacks and fuel auxiliary catastrophe. Specifically, AI-23 finds that Meta is potentially contributing to hunting and destruction of over 700,000 Rohingya in 2017. Fuel is necessary. Lost 20 finds that Congress could create an exception to Section 230 civil suits lawsuits against genocide, withdrawal or immunity for Congress contributes to mass atrocity capacity, a helpful step for the U.S. to fight genocide. Impact is death. Ronas 18 finds that between 1956 and 2016, there have been 143 genocides resulting in the death of 50 million people. Independently, genocide is a prerequisite. Gallagher 13 finds genocide erodes the authority of the UNSC, which acts as a stabilizing function. Authority may become eroding to the point that instability arises. Contempt injuries politics. Trump's winning the polls. Rollins 111 states that out of the 7 most recent head-to-head matches of polling, Trump is leading without an elephant. The 2024 election will be decided on trustworthiness information. Pilot 23 finds that 53% of Americans will claim to defeat the White House based on social media views. Foreign interference affects any chance of Biden victory. Gaz's 23 finds that Russia, Iran, and China are likely to engage in newly sophisticated influence and efforts ahead of the 2024. The Kremlin sees the New Year's finds in Moscow and political battles determining the trajectory of the sport exceed already undertaking influence activity during the midterms. Specifically, Sanchez 22 finds that Putin authorized Russia to campaign as a break the Biden candidacy, Russian effort to attempt to influence or via misinformation shared across social media. Section 230 has allowed this to continue. Latimer 22 finds Section 230 helps to create a digital environment where fake news can spread basically. Thanks to Section 230, social media companies, as a result, are reluctant to remove fake news because it increases their revenue. Repealing Section 230 is theory to stop misinformation. Robbie 23 finds that firms will take action to prevent misinformation unless lawmakers repeal Section 230. The first impact is Ukraine. Trust 23 finds that Republicans are most likely to support the transfer of weapons and rampant causes U.S. assistance to Stanley World 23 finds that Ukraine is upon the Russia in a matter of peace by military support from the Western country. In such a situation, Stanley 22 finds that the Kremlin could demand a surrender from the bridge of Moldova and the Baltic. But Moscow, really South Korea, will be in a nuclear war. The second impact is a global bad rule. Command 20 finds that the global bad rule extends under something all types of global health assistance and the U.S. government agencies apply global anti-abortion policy. And Mozambique, Oregon 22 finds that the impact was instantaneous, forcing the closure of 6 programs to 390,000 clients of access to services related to contraception. Lancet 21 concludes from HIV 21 concludes that the GGR has meant NGOs have lost 100 million in funding, which would have provided 725,000 HIV tests and treated 525,000 sexually transmitted. Thus, Elon and I.
Before we do anything else, could we test the mic really quick? Because towards the end, it started sounding like you were underwater, and I don't know what the problem is because you were like super crisp and like good to go, and then suddenly we plummeted into the depths.
The same thing happened last round, but I'll try to move it closer.
Okay, that works.
I think this one.
Yeah.
Here, just,
Is this better?
is it like way too loud?
No.
Okay. Okay, all good?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like,
Hopefully.
yeah, just let us know.
I will.
Are you good for girls? Yeah. Okay, can I ask first question? We'll start time on that.
Yep.
Okay, let's start time now. Okay, on your genocide argument, what makes social media a unique contributor to genocide?
Because of its like ability to access like wide amounts of people. So specifically, when it came to the 700,000 Rohingya in 2017 through Meta, they use social media because of the like unique, I guess, scope that it could reach.
But we've seen forms of mass genocide absent social media. No.
Yes, but a major portion of genocides have been through the use of social media, and social media is used to exacerbate genocides.
But
So,
so
like,
your
even if
argument,
they've taken place, then it doesn't matter because social media like exacerbates it.
I mean, I would say that like lots of things can exacerbate it. Like they definitely get bad regardless. But to be clear, your argument does not preclude genocide wholly in any way.
I mean, it's talking about how genocide, specifically how it's promoted on social media. So it is still talking about genocide.
Okay, sure. You can have a question.
Okay. On your second contention, on like the modeling, do countries follow Section 230 now?
Maybe, doesn't matter. Our argument is just that they see Section 230 being repealed as an excuse to cut their own like civil protection.
Okay, but if they're not following Section 230 now, then why would they just like why do they care about the US?
We say specifically that global democracy is on the rise, but there are lots of countries looking to the United States. And if the United States repeals Section 230, they feel inclined to increase crackdowns, which makes democracy a lot worse or makes authoritarianism a lot stronger. Can I get a question?
Yeah.
On the impact scenario about Ukraine, the bill that Biden has proposed to stop government shutdowns, how much aid does it pledge to Ukraine?
You could probably tell me.
It pledges one more one-time aid package, right?
Okay, but the fact that Biden even wants to send aid to Ukraine is more than any of the Republicans have said. It specifically, our Dress 23 card says that if the Republicans were to come into office, they would end it altogether. So like, yes, maybe they have one projected policy right now, but that might
the bill is explicit that this will be the last aid the United States sends. So if in either world, Trump, Biden, we still get rid of our aid to Ukraine, and you've told me pretty explicitly in your scenarios that like we need to constantly send aid to Ukraine, like how do you solve?
Well, first off, it's talking about, okay, it does not mean that we, like, yes, we have to be sending aid to Ukraine, but my last response still cross applies. The fact that Biden even wants to send some sort of aid to Ukraine, like, yes, it's one package. The package is a substantial one, but if then he sees that Ukraine needs more efforts and more support, he will then send more aid. So like, yes, right now it's projected that he's only going to send one more. Yeah, it's perceptual, but anyways, like, yeah, it goes by a day basis. The fact that Biden's even willing to send aid to Ukraine is enough for us to win this. So that's fine.
Awesome. For the online ones, would it be easier for me to?
I have no idea what you're saying, which is indication of a problem that I'm assuming you're trying to resolve.
That mic to your side.
Okay. I don't know if that cord's that long. It might be easier to just.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just switch.
I don't want to mess with the mic anymore than we
Yeah,
do.
I agree.
We had the same problem last round.
Sorry about the musical changes.
All good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Let's see if you can hear me.
Maybe if
once
we
I
stay
stand
seated,
up.
it'll be better, probably. Do
You
y'all
can stay
care?
sitting, I don't care.
Do y'all care if we stand or sit? Just
I low-key can
Just
speak
mic.
faster when
just stand. Me too. Yeah, that's true. I'll probably need to sit too.
Can you still hear me now?
Can you say that one more time?
Can you still hear me now?
I heard you the second time.
There was also. Okay, so if not, I will sit down like mid-speech or something. Let me send the doc. Okay, it should be sent. Okay, cool. Just for clarity, I'm Josh Cohen speaking second for Masterman. On the neg, it'll just be straight down. Yeah. Okay, is anyone already? Just confirming the online judge can hear me at this like volume.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
On cartels, one, it doesn't apply. Step 20, second to 30 offer no protection for online sale platforms where users could sell guns and drugs. 2, there's a cybersecurity DA. 23, without second to 30 users on defending log to lawsuit code of changes to section 2 to stop cyber related filtering from the rise that helps finance and support cartels. 21, Mexican transnational organizations are expanding into cybercrime to further their business operations and pursue private security data and to utilize all criminal organizations to gain profit, not just cartels. Downtime frame have submitted to the act which means it's also more probable to link to their impact. Then there's 3, there's a core called DA. 21, getting rid of section 230 causes significant litigation, aggravated social media users, house platform decisions, unhappy users, relitigate existing theories and new ones, different conclusion of laws on things are made difficult for entities to fully comply. Courts are key to stopping and deterring participation in cartels. 10, implementing criminal justice system provides a unique opportunity to decrease substance abuse, reduce associated criminal behavior, neuroscientific principles, improve public health, and reduce criminal behavior. Ways on time frame. It's about perception and like whole population long term forward because of a reaction. 14 times the cartels may diversify their activities to include more profitable crimes, operating prostitution, and human smuggling. These crimes affect the civilians warfare highly, and drug smuggling that outweighs on vulnerability. No intervening actions can solve for human trafficking versus their impacts beyond a link in general. Because the root cause of extinction, where they themselves say, literally, there's no internal link. Their evidence says that strength and mechanism uncertainty is because their impact is explain how killing to our cartels links to that. If anything, they fight for control and create the same violence. 6, there's no point. And Lindsay 13, actors suggest that Washington may be less likely to engage in direct military action in Latin America, royals of the United States and incentivized by these trends to avoid direct use of force to expand their influence in Latin America on genocide. 1, all their evidence is far too old. The new Supreme Court case finds that it doesn't apply. TLB 22. Supreme Court said that when the U.S. law applied to conduct foreign countries, the United States has a duty to prevent and punish genocide and complicity in genocide. Refusal to grant immunity and Meta would be implement the U.S. obligation to prevent genocide by preventing Meta and other internet companies a financial incentive to ensure that their platforms are not incentive in just refer post states their evidence to its decreasing now. DW 23, significant decrease in hate speech online. Prevalence of platforms hate speech now accounts for 0.02% of all content, including a positive trajectory, ongoing diligence, and innovation. Online hate speech affirming court's freedom of speech in 2019, removing section 230, which trample freedom of speech. Without section 230, platform could be held liable for any material posted by any user, so there was far less legitimate expression posted. Platforms would be far more restrictive in which they are posted. Freedom of speech is key to their impact and solves for their impact in the long term. The U.S. finds that freedom of speech is the lifeblood of democracy. Open debate will lead to the best option being considered democracy depends upon moderate and knowledgeable citizenry. For people to govern themselves, they must have the freedom of speech themselves. 4, there's no link self-regulation, solid ground. Looking at advertising work on social media platforms, a study co-authored by MIT found a 75% reduction in fake news being shown on Facebook, rolled out their new advertising system designed to intercept articles with fake news. Story on the one that genocide is a prerequisite. It says it's key to the A to the key UN and UNSC, but there's no one like those are key. Don't let them fill in the gaps. Those organizations are resilient and probably inspires a response, which means their argument is non-unique and doesn't have a disadvantage to the app. Misinformation. One is non-unique. The private sector solves now for under 22 social media platforms moderating theft to the box policy and quickly adjust it to reliable information with users banning new political ads. Post 2 is non-unique. Public sector solves first 22 U.S. disinformation with efforts to expose and counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation efforts to clearly involved in technology cut the card there. That puts them on a double line. Either A, we already have the incentive to do it and it's not solving, or B, we don't have the ability to do it and never will because the incentive already exists in the negative world. 3, China decreased voter Trump for at 23. Social media lowered the Republican Party's vote share in 2016 and 2020 presidential elections by encounters with popular narrative. Social media users were less, not more likely to vote for Trump in 2016, 25 percentage points more likely to identify as Democrats. Skip the right-wing terror. DA. On Ukraine, 1, it's a House/Senate issue, not the presidency. There's zero explanation and the Senate is likely to go red because Manchin has pulled out, which means there's no solvency. The concession in Crossfire is that it's a one-time aid bill that's already passed and has an explicit concession in it that there is no more that are going to happen in the future. On the global gag group, there's an abortion DA, Bill 23. In the year after the virtual abortion, legal abortion in the United States and not told despite the states that have banned abortions, repealing Section 230 for Senate. There's 22 in a post-war world, but depending on the species about abortion, a matter of life or death, Section 230 is the last line of defense, keeping reproductive health care information fundraising online.
It's just like the one sentence on Miller that's cut. I guess on the doc. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just
Wait, but there's no warrant, right? Because like you stopped there. No, this is about Section 230.
the second card.
Oh, you did get
Yeah.
the second card? All right.
If we wouldn't mind sitting,
For us sitting?
yes,
Okay, cool.
thank you.
Is there anything you need to fill in since if it was covered to here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, I'll send the doc for their case. I'm definitely not getting to all of this, but I'll say it out loud, what I don't get to. And do you hear me fine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I sent it. Let me know when y'all are good. Yeah. Okay.
Is it in the body of the email?
Yeah, do you want me to send a doc?
Well, it's too late now. I'm just gonna stew in it though.
Okay. Is anyone not ready?
Wait, are you frontlining first?
Yeah, my case there's. All right, cool. On cartels, we'll concede that Section 230 doesn't actually protect drug cartels. That gets us out of all their offense. But even then, on the cyber DA, we say that the cyber tax would escalate that to 20. And then on court DAs, we say the courts are already clogged. They've been clogged for 10 years. Everyone's already 10 years behind, which means that doesn't apply. And the first piece of uniqueness I conceded also responds to the turnabout, them being reactionary. On genocide, we'll concede that genocide is decreasing right now. At that point, it doesn't matter if you heard freedom of speech because there's no actual speech needed to stop genocide from happening. On politics, they say that private sector and public sector solves. No, that's all their evidence from before the midterm. Our evidence finds that during the midterm, they were able to interfere. So clearly right now, what we have is not working. Then they return about how it decreases vote for Trump. That doesn't matter. Our evidence finds that 53% of people vote based on social media. Russia, Iran are going to continue doing misinformation on social media. That's going to affect every single American voter, which causes us to vote there. We'll drop Ukraine. We'll go for global gag rule. They just return about abortion. One, it's basically all over time. There isn't actually any war, but even then, we'd say there's a lot of misinformation that goes into social media about abortions. Only the app solves that by decreasing misinformation. But second, we say that there's always ways for people to get abortions outside of social media. For example, Parenthood solves and allows women to get abortions pretty easily. On their case, at the top, first, turn recessions are good. Only stopping economic growth solves warring Hickel 18 finds that suggest green growth turns out to be wishful thinking. Decoupling is not possible to global scale. Model predicted sustainable resource uses 50 billion. If every nation immediately adopted best practice, resource consumption would hit 93. In their best case scenario, we'd still hit 95 tons used by 2050. No absolute decoupling. Finally, the UNP tested carbon price at 5 cents. The result, we hit 153 tons. Study after study shows the same thing. There are limits to efficiency pursuing growth drives. Use back up. These show green growth into doubt and necessitate radical rethinking. Decoupling growth with use will remain our problems. Preventing that will require a new paradigm. Warming causes extinction of conflicts of unpredictable effects will make systems systems in hospital while increasing escalatory conflicts. Only drastic reduction solves multi-19 by the climate change will exacerbate humanitarian crisis as well as navigate natural resource constraints contributing to conflict over food and energy. If emissions do not decline rapidly, climate-related threats could be existential. A low risk of warming outweighs a full risk of growth. One time frame only immediate drastic reduction solves. There's no cost of too much, but falling short guarantees extinction. Vote negative if there's any risk. The app prolongs emissions. Roberts 18 finds that rapid transformation is needed in all scenarios. All the models say humanity needs to reduce emissions to zero as quickly as possible. The chances of trying too hard, spending too much money, reducing emissions too much are nil. Two, synergy, the combined effects of climate change overcome defense. But any one consequence of warming is enough to cause worse recession and conflict. And inevitable mitigation strategies like carbon pricing also cause recession. Ferrer 19 finds that climate change affect econ growth. These risks set off a chain reaction that create a global crisis. Created in the summer, carbon prices drop. It could throw the global economy and become volatile. Climate disasters are expected to intensify. Companies to take it for a surplus of claims. Breakdown could trigger a catastrophic breakdown of human systems, driving rapid runway collapse in which economic shocks cascade. On modeling credibility, turn autocracies are better than democracies. They are able to solve emerging pandemic. Studies prove democratic failure. Kavon Singh 20 finds that Chinese success in U.S. figures led to concern that COVID-19 represents bad news about the value of democratic governance and relation between democracy and worse outbreaks, as well as less effective policy responses. Accountability mechanisms that help democracies perform better may not be as beneficial. Democracies have competing political factions and institutions. Some may have political incentives to undermine response. Pandemics for extinction. Barium 16 finds that success of more aggressive changes they can use the long-range transportation to escape local extinction. Pathogens become so aggressive that the entire host population dies. Civilization may be approaching a critical threshold that the world becomes more connected. The dangers increase in outbreak could very well be unstoppable. Outweigh in probability. Look at COVID. China had very well response compared to the United States. That's comparing an autocracy to a democracy. Don't read the turn after about global wars. No impact of soft power. Action 13 finds that we have all become too enamored with the concept of soft power. If soft power actually existed, it would by now be showing results. Instead, we see actual war, deep civil violence. Soft power theorists say Europe proves it can work. Also, Ukrainians disaster relief is just charity. Aid may be good and worthy in itself, but it is non-power. On GPC, turn to GPC increases the likelihood of conflict with China. Thor 22 finds a great competition. Risk advancing a reactive approach to China is likely to lead to a struggle over selective consultation. Washington can manage research. Beijing in a adventurous Moscow with 5 confidence if it swims its own race. It's pretty probable. We know that both China and Russia are pretty reactive. So if the U.S. increases their presence in that region, they get mad. Turn it again. GPC drives African conflict while U.S.-China cooperation solves. Action 20 finds that China stepped up in Africa while the U.S. is contemplating withdrawal. These agencies can link U.S. to BRI projects and turn U.S. expansion tandem with Chinese. Instead of viewing the BRI as a mission to counter, the U.S. should consider it a mission to work with, using and bolstering existing policy tools to channel benefits of extractive infrastructure trade use to the African people, directing U.S. forums to its new infrastructure projects. I didn't read the last card. And the card I said. Were you able to hear us fine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. 10 seconds. Okay. Okay. I'll take it.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about degrowth.
Yep.
Okay, so like, is there a financial incentive right now for companies to use like more climate friendly technology?
Yeah, those still like have emissions, right? Like you can invest a lot more money into clean energy, but in order to, for example, build new clean energy things and do things like that, still requires a lot of emissions. We say that we're at the tipping point. So even if you keep on even increasing econ growth by a little, that's going to cause us to go into a tipping point, plus tipping point, and then an extinction.
When do we? Like there's no date. Like,
2100, but climate change impact is also linear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I gave you, apart from extinction outweigh, and I also tell you like time frame.
Yeah, but that's the time frame as like to why you have to act now, right? But if we prove that as we are acting, it causes like extinction via our scenario.
What do you mean?
Like your argument is time frame because we must act now to solve something that's going to happen in 2100. But if our argument is that we're able to like solve for something that's going to like that something bad will happen while like solving for the thing that's going to happen in 2100.
That's why, yeah, that's why I talked about it like the linear impact, right? Our Ferrer 19 evidence says that when you have an increase in warming, you also have a decrease in opportunity to deal with, for example, the economic effects or war, which means that even if we have a small amount of warning, just because you're increasing growth, you still see a decrease in the ability to like, I guess, solve for your impacts. That's like our synergy weighing.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's look at, I guess, chat GPC. Yeah. What progress have we had, I guess, in the AI race or the tech race against China?
I don't know. The uniqueness evidence is pretty good. It's like we're developing new things. There's a bunch
Like
of-
what?
I don't know.
China has access to ChatGPT too.
Yeah, but like who developed it? And like military
But
expansion.
why does
et
us
cetera.
why does us developing ChatGPT?
Because we're able to like
an
the
advantage?
evidence that's conceded, it says that like development of AI like spills over into military applications, so it's key for head and like it's key to
Wait, so
economic
you're
growth.
telling me China doesn't have like their own AI capabilities like ChatGPT?
No, our argument is that they do, but
Okay.
we're ahead right now. Like we're developing more, but it's close. So us like not developing them is bad because the US lashes out.
Okay, cool.
On modeling, you say democracy is bad because of like the
Pandemic
pandemic.
response.
Yeah. Am I correct in thinking that like we need a global pandemic response that like can't just be in one country?
I mean, not really. If you can stop
Well,
the spread.
but like if we don't like every disease isn't going to come from an authoritarian country, right?
No,
Like, it's
that's not our argument. Our argument is that when you have a democratic country, you also have a lot of political factions. For example, the United States, the conservatives didn't want to like roll out vaccines. They're really like COVID is
Wait,
safe.
but what if the autocrat was a Republican? Like no one wanted to vote
The thing is, you don't have political factions, you don't have gridlock, and you don't have argument, which means that, for example, you're able to roll out policies and vaccines a lot faster. Are we switching back? Yeah, we'll switch back. What's up? Yep.
Yeah, oh, we're gonna switch back.
Oh, true. My bad. Order will be straight down our case, like all the impact turns, extending an actual argument, weighing their case. And I'll sign this. I'll make it. In that case, time starts now. On the first impact turn, first of all, they haven't articulated the time frame as to when this causes extinction, and we'll weigh it against ours, say our argument is more immediate. And also in times of recession, we strengthen things like manufacturing, which are definitely comparatively worse for the environment. We'll also say that recessions haven't caused full degrowth in the past. We saw a recession in 2019. It didn't cause a sudden halt, which means obviously they can't solve for this argument wholly because we'll still have industry just because a recession happens. This argument is really silly. Also, okay. On the argument about how autocracies are better, first of all, the evidence is saying that pandemics were fatal, could be fatal in 2016. That was pre-COVID. Clearly, they were wrong. Pandemics aren't fatal. That's for a couple of reasons. First of all, they're isolated populations, which means that pandemics don't cause extinction. And B, if pandemics are super powerful, that means they kill people before they can spread, which means they don't cause extinction. They've conceded that extinction outweighs on magnitude and irreversibility. We'll also say that they say that autocracies are better for solving for pandemics, but no, you need to be able to nationally communicate, because when there are actual spreads, you need to be able to communicate and put policy in place for things like vaccine distribution, which only happens through like democracies and international co-op, and it's the root way to solve for pandemics through vaccines. On all of their turns about ChatGPT, none of these actually matter. They're just reasons why why GPC is bad, but they've conceded the uniqueness at the top that we're in the race now. We don't. Neither side controls the link into the race beginning or ending. All they do is who wins it. Our argument is that we win the tech race in our scenario. At that point, extend the scenario. What we tell you is that the United States is winning the AI race, but China is catching up. That's because of 230. NC finds it because of Section 230 is enabling competitive tech industry with 4 million jobs, which is why investment tripled after its creation. Thierry finds that 230 applies to AI. Courts regularly use it for AI, but Thierry furthers that affirming would kill American AI because of regulatory and civil burdens, which would kill our ability to innovate, killing competition with China, which is bad because AI's economic and military advantages. The winner of the AI race will secure global dominance. Kim 19 finds that China's hegemonic ascent led to inevitable war because declining nation seat is the only option. And Star finds that war causes extinction, nuclear extinction through crop failure. Again, none of their responses actually matter. At that point, go to Wang. War causes pandemics because the military is a disease vector, which always on scope because it means more people travel, which causes more diseases and also goes to isolated populations. B, war causes climate change because of emissions. That's because we have to do things like produce more. We have to start our wartime economy, which means we do more manufacturing, which is bad. And also it turns abortion because the war means no access to healthcare, which always on scope. Okay, at that point, go to their case. They have conceded they have not responded well to the argument how social media reduced vote shares for Trump. They just say that 50% decided they'll vote on the election off of the internet. That's okay. Our empiric is telling you that in 2016 and in 2020, the social media engagement led to reduced votes for Trump, which means obviously it doesn't matter. It means that them being on social media doesn't cause the impact. If anything, it turns it. They just say that all of our arguments are before the midterm and they influence in the midterm. That's fine. This argument specifically applies to 2016 when there was election interference. It says that even despite the election interference, there were still more votes for Democrats as a result of social media, which means that it's obviously a net negative to kick far-right extremists off social media because
No.
Wait, which one is it? Oh. Oh, I didn't. I'm doing it.
No.
I'm gonna do it first. Yeah.
Oh, let me see that. If you have war, then the global gap. Say it.
No, I'll do that on our.
That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
let me go for that. See if it's not- see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118
these, so we have 40 left.
Theater's gonna be arcade and that's.
Stay sitting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry, you say your case?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Going good? Vote off to ensure election security to prevent a return of Trump. The only way to check his win is to ensure trustworthiness of information, checking misinformation, stopping foreign influence. That's clause 230 ensures misinformation is tackled under a liberal law because of immunity, but repeals forces takedown of Gaz's and Barabi 23. And just on extension of the gag rule, the Trump will condition foreign health assistance on limits to reproductive health, denying nearly 400,000 of assistance and enduring countless deaths from SVs and birth complications. They make a few responses. First, they say that social media reduces vote shared for Trump, but that isn't responsive to all of our evidence from this year saying that Russia is working really hard to interfere in this election, which changes everything. They really want Trump in office and have already saturated the social media campaigns. And on their prereq -4 equals no gag rule, this is not true. There are funds for pre-allocation for Biden. Only Trump changes that by pulling out. They also said that there's more votes for Democrats even after social media. Well, first off, that's not that doesn't matter because of the election interference, which is the direct link. Okay, now moving on to tech crash. Yeah, recession is good. Recession is good. Only stopping economic growth solves warming. The green growth is wishful thinking and not possible on a scale on a global scale. We would still hit the 95 billion tons by 2050, which causes extinction. And warming causes extinction, makes systems inhospitable while increasing conflict. Climate change causes conflict over food and water. If emissions don't decline, it could be existential. Okay, and I'll just like on time frame of the way. That's no, I know. Okay, yeah. And on time frame, only immediate drastic and reduction solve. There's no cost to do too much, but falling short guarantees extinction and vote negative if there's any risk that the act prolongs emissions. And they conceded that the synergy weighing the combined effects of climate change overcome defense, but any one consequence of warming is enough to cause war, recession, and conflict. Independently, the inevitable mitigation strategies like carbon pricing also cause recessions. A, this means that climate change comes first, and B, response to their war prereq because climate change actually makes war worse. Prefer the only team with evidence on the front lines. A, they say that no articulate a time frame. That's not true. It's linear. Any increase in warming still makes everything worse. By 2100, it is still the same. And they say that we strengthen manufacturing, but there's no implication or evidence of why this is true. If anything, you're in a recession, you build less. And they say that recessions don't cause full degrowth. That this doesn't matter. And the climate change is linear, and they conceded synergy is weighing. Now moving on to ChatGPT. It's a the GPC increased conflict with China versus a reactive approach to China. It means that the U.S. makes a Chinese conflict out of nothing and will escalate regardless. That was a Schroer 22 evidence. And it doesn't matter if we're in a race now. Your argument is that you keep the race going. The alternative is no race in our world, and none of that turns matter. Their argument is no race, no rule. And if they keep the race going, then it increases conflict between the two of the countries, which we specifically say is bad for the for the climate change as well as for Africa when the auction. Or actually, I'll just extend that quickly. The GBC drives African conflict while U.S.-China cooperation is able to ensure that the U.S. Business expands into Africa and we can build new infrastructure projects that helps African population. That's Yashin 20. This means that cooperation with China is going to be key. And if there's no race and there's no rule, then we won't have cooperation, which is uniquely bad for the Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does the app stop total power?
Okay, your argument is that we're app, right?
Y'all
Yeah,
are
we're
app.
app, y'all are neg, right? So your argument is that the app stops us from competing, correct, with China?
No.
Yeah, like we still try
Sure.
to compete.
Our argument is that when you have less competition with China, that means you have less
It's not
confrontation, which
less
leads to war.
competition.
Right, which means that China doesn't see us as much as a threat. If we are failing in our competition, then we aren't seen as a threat, which means that there's no reason for war.
Even if your analysis is
That's fine.
okay.
Let's look at Okay, let's look at 2016 and 2020 elections, right?
Yeah.
This whole argument about how like there was less votes for Trump. Did Russia have huge campaigns to, for example, interfere in those elections in 2016 and in 2020? Okay.
Let's talk let's talk
Okay.
what is the analysis? So the analysis when summation good.
Yeah. So that's the synergy weighing. No, what's linear is climate change, right? So even if you have some economic growth, that still means that you have more climate change, which causes more warming. Warming is linear, right? Our synergy evidence finds that when you have more warming, you also have less opportunities to respond to economic problems, to stop through responsive war, for example. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, okay, you got one?
Sure. Yeah, so you say on, yeah, you say that more votes for Democrats even, wait, actually, I'll go on, yeah, on politics. You say that more votes for Democrats, even post social media. That was, was that not?
No, I don't think so. If you like when people call social media, that's down because social media
Okay, yeah.
That's correct. Okay. 45.
Yeah. Okay. It will be the impact turn at the top, then weighing, or no, then our case weighing their case.
Can I get that one more time?
Yeah, sorry. The impact turn at the top, degrowth, then our case weighing their case. Okay. Is anyone not ready? Actually, let me get some more. On the impact turn, they have not extended a link into the recession, which they have to do in summary to go for an impact turn. Second thing they've conceded is that in times of recession, we strengthen the manufacturing, which they've conceded causes climate change. They say we're going to build less work. Also, incentive, we want to come back out of the recession to build more manufacturing because it conceded analysis from Henry's summary. At that point, go to our argument about AI. I'll make it really simple right here. The only thing that they extend is it's going to escalate nothing. They've conceded that the actual race itself is inevitable. They say that the alternative is no race. No, the alternative is extinction because the US lashes out, and they conceded that you resolve this on time frame because our impact triggers immediately, whereas you do not know when there's necessarily. They say that it's going to hurt after the test, not linked to extinction. They've conceded extinction outweighs on both magnitude and irreversibility, which means user preferred. In our case, Sharp the US is winning the AI because Section 230, and she finds that because Section 230 is enabling to produce 4 million new jobs, which is the investment after creation. There finds that Section 230 applies to quickly use 234. There finds that affirmative kill American AI because of regulatory burdens and civil burdens would kill our ability to innovate, killing competition with the beginning. 23 finds that AI's economic and military advantages winner of the AI to secure global dominance. 19 finds that China's hegemonic ascent leads to inevitable war because of the declining nation sees war as the only option. 17 finds that the scenario that exchange for nuclear war is extremely likely, and Star finds that cause extinction or culture. On the way, the only thing that they say is that it makes the climate change makes makes more worse, but this is warrantless. They've conceded our weighing that war turns climate change because there's massive amounts of emissions from doing things like war. They've conceded this our time frame. They themselves say that the thing that will cause extinction from climate change is any amount of emissions, which means if the war that we talk about leads to extinction, that awaits. Second thing they've considered is turns abortion because it kills the access to healthcare. They say that there's massive amounts of funds because of the global gag rule, but our argument is a prior question. You need to have access to it in order to actually enable it, which means funds don't matter. At that point, they are not winning a piece of weighing. We are winning two pieces of turnkey weighing, and they have an impact or a link to extinction from climate change. And the only offense that they have left is their argument on politics, which is all I want to know anyway. Extend the fact that it decreased the votes for Trump. The only thing that they say is that this year changed it, but there's no warrant on it. They conceded Henry's analysis that we did it in 2016 as well, which means it's not unique, which means the fact that it decreased votes for Trump by 25% is a reason to reject the AF, and also is probably a turn to the net.
Yeah. Okay. Degrowth. And I'll signpost from there. Do you want more specific? No?
Yeah, it's an order. This isn't, you're not novices, right?
No, fine.
Assuming you can give me one.
Degrowth, ChatGPT, politics. Okay. Anyone not ready? Extended term recession could only stop in econ growth. Solid form and green growth is wishful thinking, not possible on a global scale. We would still hit the 95 billion tons by 2050, which causes extinction. Warming causes extinction, sending make systems inhospitable, while increasing COVID. Climate change causes conflict over food and water. If emissions don't decline, it could be existential. All they say is that we have not extended a link into the recession. Yes, they literally do it in summary when they say that they still win this argument on time frame. They literally extend their entire link onto how they win on time frame. That means that we still have access to this entire argument insofar as they do things such as those. Then they say that war turns climate change. No, they conceded out every single part of our impact evidence from this term that says that climate change causes war in the first place. We say that our argument comes way first when you have wars over food and water because of global warming. It happens a lot sooner. Also, as soon as you have a little bit of econ growth, that causes more emissions, which is really important because our argument is that it's linear. And even if you have a little bit of econ growth, that still causes warming, which our impact finds that causes war. They also can see the synergy weighing in every single speech that the combined effects of climate change overcome defense, but any one consequence of warming is enough to cause worse recessions and conflict independently. Inevitable mitigation strategies like carbon pricing also cause recessions, which means that we also link it to their entire war impact. If you have more climate change, you also have more war. That's the entire synergy weighing, which is the only carded piece of weighing in the entire round. It goes completely conceded for an author on ChatGPT. They say that it's going to happen immediately. If we lose attack rates, that means that a nuclear war happens right away. No, we say that doesn't happen. People are just going to, like, China isn't going to know that the U.S. is losing right away. We say that as soon as the U.S. loses, they're going to know they lost the war, and they're not going to, they lost a competition, and China isn't going to want to launch a nuclear weapon if they know that the U.S. isn't a threat anymore. That's the entire thesis of our argument. If the U.S. loses power in the region, in the competition, that means that China doesn't see them as threatening, which means that no war actually happens. The war only happens when they do feel threatened. That goes conceded throughout the entire round. The only other piece of offense they have is that war turns like the global gag rule and abortion. No, we say that funds are already there. For example, Biden sent the funds when he went into office, when he reenacted the global gag rule. This is what Sophia tells you in her summary. The billions of dollars already went to Africa to help these people. They don't just get taken away when you're in a war. They're still there. Nothing changes. The only thing that changes is when Trump goes into office. Pretty simple for them. Pretty simple for NSU in this round. Good round, y'all.
Before y'all bolt, who's who for neg really quick?
Yeah, let's go.
That would make me Josh.
It's okay, I can do basic math. And then who is who NSU?
Elon Arias was the second speaker.
Okay.
Thank you so much for judging.
Thank you.